you have a heart attack, you have a stroke, you have a broken bone, then the mainstream is crucial to have. But outside of the acute situation, mainstream is not, I think, of the value that the people can get using alternative.
Living with autoimmunity doesn't mean settling for less. Inspired Living with Autoimmunity is the show for high achievers who want the energy and vitality to live fully, not just manage symptoms. With your host and autoimmune coach, Julie Houghton. It's time to take your power back.
Welcome back to the Inspired Living with Autoimmunity podcast. I'm your host, Julie Michelson, and today we're joined by Dr. Anju Mathur, a leading holistic and functional medicine practitioner who has been administering prescriptions that infuse her patients with long-term health and blue zone tempered wellness that defy the effects of aging. Dr. Mathur and her staff at Angel Longevity Medical Center hone a creative combination of resources that boost the immune system and promote prolonged renewal at a cellular level. In today's conversation, we're discussing how to support the body with its innate ability to heal so that you can feel like yourself again. Dr. Mathur, welcome to the podcast.
Oh, thank you so much for having me here. It's a pleasure.
I'm so excited for this conversation. I was saying before I hit record, you've been practicing this kind of medicine, functional, integrative, longevity, whatever you want, whatever label you want to put on it, real medicine, I call it, for longer than it's really was called functional medicine. So I thank you for your commitment to helping your patients truly get well. Is amazing. Tell listeners a little bit about that shift, because back in the day there was no longevity track in medical school. So tell us a little bit about what inspired you to shift practice and start Angel Longevity Medical.
It's been a journey. So literally it's been a journey. It's like, where do you go? And you do the next thing, and then you find out, oh, it works great. So you do the next thing and the next and the next, and then you arrive. I've been doing this for almost 2 decades. When I started, the way it worked out was one fine day, I looked at my practice and I saw that the patients, even though they were happy with me as a doctor and as a person, but they were not really overcoming their health challenges. They were kind of being managed. So the whole mainstream medicine is to manage the symptoms of patients and not really end anything or overcome anything. Even the word cure is now illegal to use. But
so crazy.
So that kind of, so I looked at my existence and I said, you know what, this is not really fulfilling to me. I almost feel like, almost you feel like a drug pusher because
Sure.
you're writing prescription after prescription. In fact, at those times, we used to have drug reps come in and they would bring you prescription pads and they would already print the name of the drug on the prescription pad. And all you had to do was, oh, doc, is very easy. You don't have to remember the dosages. Everything is here. You just have to write the name and sign the prescription. It was almost like you're peddling drugs,
Yeah.
and not really getting any really good outcomes in terms of patients saying, I feel awesome. I feel like myself again, or I have the vitality. I'm climbing mountains. I'm playing with my grandchildren when I'm 80 years old. Things like that was not happening. And then at the same time, I personally also got into a situation where I really didn't know what was wrong. Mm-hmm. Even though applying all the, mainstream ideas and ideology and the lab testing and whatnot, there was nothing wrong with the labs. There were the standard labs that were being done. And I was basically a ball of exhaustion. I was literally exhausted 24/7. And I had terrible sleeping, issues. I couldn't sleep all night, and then during the day I was so tired I couldn't. I mean, I could barely walk or do something for an hour. For that, I had to rest at least 2 or 3 hours.
Oh my
And then it
goodness.
was like the whole day. Luckily, I had another doctor that was working for me in my clinic. So I could take the time out and I could rest and do some things. But then at the same time, I was like, I got to figure out the solution.
Yeah, what's going on? And listeners can so resonate with many anyway. Your labs are fine.
That's
Right?
exactly right. I
Yeah.
mean, this happens every single day in my practice.
Yeah.
Patients come in and they tell me, or on the other hand, they will, like you said earlier, the example you gave me, they don't do anything for a long time
Yeah.
until you come down with a major illness that
Yeah.
now they can give you the ICD-9 code or an ICD-10.
Yeah.
I don't do much coding, so ICD-10 coding, whatever, for the insurance purposes. And now they can prescribe the drug for you because now you have whatever it is you have, ulcerative
Yeah.
colitis, Crohn's disease, rheumatoid arthritis, you name it. And I mean, this happens very routinely with patients who come in like for Hashimoto's.
Yeah.
First
Oh
of all,
yeah.
they're never checked, right? The antibodies
No.
are never checked. But then eventually, when the patient pushes the doctor to check the antibodies and they come back positive, and the doctor just throws out a diagnosis, oh, you have Hashimoto's, but you cannot do anything about it.
Right.
You might as well just forget about it. Patients are like, flabbergasted. They're like,
Sure.
what are you talking about? I have a gazillion symptoms, but there is no treatment for it. There's no
Right.
cure for it. So there's like, just forget it. So it's kind of interesting, the whole mainstream ideas and the conventional medicine is only if you are really, I say if you drop on the
Acute.
floor, acute. If you
Yeah.
drop on the floor, you can do something. You have a heart attack, you have a stroke, you have a broken bone, then the mainstream is crucial to have.
Yeah.
To stay,
It does that beautifully. Like,
yeah.
yeah.
Yeah,
Surgery.
yeah,
Like,
surgery. Exactly.
trauma. Yeah.
You have a big, huge gallstone stuck in one of your biliary ducts, then yes, you do need surgery and you need all the care that the conventional medicine has to offer. But outside of the acute situation, mainstream is not, I think, of the value that the people can get using alternative. So
Yeah.
that's really where we stand. And it's so I had to figure out for myself because I was at the dead end. I'm like, what do I do? And luckily I got invitation at that moment when I was researching. And this is like 20 years ago, 2004 or something, 2005. And I got invited to one of the bioidentical hormone replacement conferences in Beverly Hills.
Nice.
Dr. Terry Hertog from Belgium was the one that was doing that conference. So that was a game changer. Once I learned, and one of the funny stories is this. When I walked into the room where they were full of MDs, right, sitting there, what I saw a major striking difference. When I was going before to a medical conference, the doctors are very serious, right?
Right.
They kind of look bored with what they're doing, and I was the same way. I was like, okay, I'll sign my name and get the hell out.
Right.
So,
I need the credits. Yeah.
you need the credits, you need the continuing medical education, and that's all I was doing. I'm guilty of the same thing.
Check the box. Sure.
Yeah. Check the box and get out. You go to Hawaii, you go to all these nice places, and then you're not going to sit in the classroom to learn about anything. You want to be on the beach.
Right.
I mean, I'm being honest. That's really what, even including myself, I was doing that.
Sure.
But this time, when I entered the room, it was so much,
energy.
talk and the energy and the good vibes, and the doctors are excited. They're really enjoying the conference. I mean, that was mind-boggling to me. I'm like, what is this? This is very interesting.
It's like the Twilight Zone. Yeah.
Yeah. So I went up and talked to Dr. Hertog, and he was like, yeah, I'm taking 8 hormones. I'm like, 8 hormones? That's a lot of hormones. And he wasn't even that old, but he said, no, I'm just balancing my hormones and I feel awesome. And he is. I mean, he worked so hard, round the clock. So that was inspiring me. It was very inspiring. So I came back and I checked my hormones, did the blood test right away, and I figured out what was wrong. And then the rest was history. I recovered pretty fast. And, I actually started researching nutrition because
Good for you.
yeah, yeah. I mean,
Yeah.
exactly. That
Well,
that was the first thing. That was the
yeah.
first thing because without nutrition, it's very difficult to be healthy.
Yes.
But
But they don't teach that in medical school.
no more than 3 hours.
Yeah.
No more than 3 hours in 5.5 years of medical school that I did in India.
Yeah.
So
Well, or here they don't. I mean, it's the
no,
same. Yeah.
yeah, it's the same exactly. It's a Western medical science. That's what I studied. Yeah. So this is it just was gradual. So one thing after one next thing,
Sure.
I learned about nutrition. I learned about detoxification,
Mm.
which is brand new idea
Right.
to an MD. I mean, to an
Sure.
MD. I was like, what do you mean by detoxification? And my person that was helping me with nutrition, she told me, Anju, you should do a liver detox. And I said, liver detox, what is that? So I said, okay, I'll do it because I like this person very much. She said, okay, whatever she said, okay. I said,
Try
okay,
it.
I'll do it.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I did it, and it was amazing experience. It was like for the day of the detox,
Mm-hmm.
I was feeling like I had all the symptoms of flu.
Yeah.
And I was like,
Sure.
wow, what is this? Is like a real deal. Like it wasn't, it actually got turned on because of the detox that I was doing.
Right.
So literally I spent the entire day sleeping
Mhm.
and eating. Those
Yeah.
are two things I did. And then the following day was a new day. It was fantastic. I felt amazing. And I saw the gallstones coming out, in the stool. And that was mind blowing to me because normally you never see that with anything I had done prior to that.
Right.
And so
Yeah.
at that point, I realized that it was my moral obligation
I love it.
to share that with the patients. 'Cause I I
Yeah.
can't treat myself as a separate thing than the patients. Patients. But the good news is that when I was a little, kind of nervous because this is not medical.
It's a little different, right?
Yeah, it's not straight medicine. It's not conventional medicine. So I was kind of a little nervous about talking to the patients, but I thought, no, it's really important that I share this with the patients.
Sure.
But I was so happy for the response because the patients were like, yeah, do whatever you can do to help me.
Yeah.
I said, okay, sure. So I gave them, that was it. I mean, every time I have introduced something new in my practice that I don't know, there is doctors doing it forever. I didn't know. I'm new to this. So I tell them, look, I've never done this before.
Right.
But I've studied it, I'm certified in it, but I've never actually done it.
Right.
And the universal response.
Sign me up.
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
It was sign me up. We are so frustrated with the mainstream.
Sure.
That we need a solution. So whatever solution you have, we want to take it because you obviously care about us,
Yeah.
And so that was very heartwarming. And so that's how I converted. It was a long answer, but
Well, no, and it just keeps, it's like a snowball effect, right?
yes.
First of all, you can't unlearn it, right? The importance of detox, the importance of nutrition. Like you can never go back to, oh, we don't, this idea of I always say, nobody has a prescription deficiency. Like
That's right.
that's not the problem. And I'm not anti-prescription because my bioidentical hormones are prescriptions. So, it's, you can't switch that off. We'd like to say, you use the word alternative. And to me, it's like, no, you just have a bigger toolbox. right? Like I'm
That's right.
sure you're doing supporting patients, with a variety. I know the kind of stuff you do at your clinic is the same kind of stuff we do at ours, and it's just a bigger toolbox. I'm guessing you're not anti prescription. Is there a time and a place where you'll write a script for someone?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, the drugs, big pharmaceutical drugs have a place, and the place is acute emergency.
Yeah.
So if somebody has a blood pressure of 200 by 120, you're not going to sit there and try to give them herbs.
Right.
Even
Or
though,
just tell them to keep meditating until it comes
yeah.
down.
Yeah, so there is a time and place for it, but I ideally speaking, I would rather not have a patient on any prescription medications. Bioidentical hormones are, some of them are prescription, but they are not big pharmaceutical
Right.
drugs.
Right.
They're not. They're compounded by the pharmacist
Yeah.
to basically make it personalized to you and your needs. So it's a personalized medicine. But the big pharmaceutical drugs are not personalized. They are one size fits all.
Right.
Most of them, they have a couple of doses, different doses, but that's about it.
Yeah.
But with the bioidentical hormones, we are really exactly finding the fine tuning your dose to you, which could be very different from the person sitting next to you.
Sure.
So that's a difference. So the only drug that I would never prescribe to anyone is a psychiatric drug.
Yeah.
The deficiency of psychiatric drug is not the reason you have anxiety or
Yes.
depression or
Yeah.
whatever else you want to call it, the label.
Right.
So I'm definitely against psychiatric drugs, but anything else that saves your life, absolutely.
Yeah. And I love that you brought that up. Again, those are so misused. All of those drugs were made and studied as short-term interventions, and they're just being thrown at people like, here, take this. Especially, I know so many listeners, back to the comment of like, your labs are fine, right? When so many people have been offered antidepressants by their physician who didn't know what else to do, right? Like, and I'm not saying they're all saying it must be in your head. Here, take this. I did have a physician once tell me that before she changed and left the Western model, that she had gotten to a point where she felt like if she didn't offer a prescription, she wasn't helping. She realizes her perspective's very different now. Yeah, so I love that you brought that up. But again, back to we don't have. It's the same. I was on 10 prescriptions at my sickest.
Wow.
And so then you get into some of them are for the side effects of the other ones, and that fear-based, well, if you don't take a biologic, even if you feel well, your body is going to, and it's like, it's just backwards.
I think it's what's the word? Sometimes it's like people think it's fear mongering. That's what it is. It's a fear mongering. The people like I'm treating a patient just recently came in, and she had this severe migraine on one side of her head. One side of her head, severe, young girl, 25, 27 years old.
Scary.
And and then she got put on 7 different drugs, including psychiatric drugs.
Oh.
And once I started treating her, and I said, okay, and then she got off of some of them, because one of the things that I do usually is when a person walks in with 10 different prescriptions, my job is now not only to get her better, like actually handling the underlying causes, but also now get them off the drug.
Right.
All the drugs. So my product is that at the end of the whole program that I'm doing, I got a patient that is off drugs and is on everything natural to replace, and they're feeling amazing.
Feeling better than, yes. Exactly.
Amazing. Like they're literally feeling. So this patient that I'm just mentioning, she came in just a couple of, maybe through 2 or 3 weeks ago, and she had this severe headache, and they gave her a psychiatric drug. for that migraine because it's off-label use.
Oh,
She got
goodness.
she got amitriptyline, and it's a centrally acting drug, and it's very, very strong drug, and with so many side effects. So when she got off I think she got off 5 of those very fast. And then she told me this. She said, when I came in, I almost felt like that it wasn't me, it was somebody else here, sitting here.
Oh, I would imagine. Yeah.
Yeah. And I was like, if I say something, I would feel like, did I even say that? So this
Wow.
is like a personality disorder that is brought on by the
By a
drug.
prescription. Yeah.
Yeah, not by the patient. This is
Ugh.
nothing to do with that person.
Right.
It's a synthetic, artificial personality that is implanted in the person now because of the drug. So
Wow.
she actually literally, I've never had somebody express it so well. The
Right.
way she expressed to me, I'm like, wow, now I get that. It's like, wow, really? She said, yeah. I would tell something to my sister, and then later on I would say, did I even say something like that? What did I say? And she's only
Wow. That's
25.
scary.
Very
Yeah.
scary. And then she said, I would have thoughts like I should put away my knives.
Wow.
Literally, like she said, I don't know what was happening in my head. I thought, okay, I should just put myself. I mean, she's a smart girl. So she said,
Right.
instead of harming herself or somebody else with the knives, because it is a side effect of the drug, it increases the
Ugh.
homicide and suicide ability of the person with the psychiatric drug. So I was very impressed with this person because she's like, okay, I'm getting off. And of course, my job is to make it easier, but the drugs are very, very addictive.
Yes.
There
Yeah.
is no short term use. There's no short term use. They become addictive within a month. So if
Wow.
you take any drugs for 1 month, you will be addicted. And she says, I wanted to take the drug at night.
Wow.
I was looking for it at night. So
Yeah.
I knew that this is addiction because I want to take it even though it's not helping. It puts me to sleep. She said I was taking it at night so I could just go to sleep, and then in the morning I feel weird.
Wow.
And then this patient is very strong. So she said,
Yeah.
of course you can't get off the drugs like cold turkey. This is not to tell someone to
No,
do.
and I'm so glad. I was like, I do want to make sure we circle back and say, like, you're a physician helping patients safely get off of their medication. So for anybody listening, we're not suggesting anybody take themselves off of medications. I tell people all the time, people read my story or hear my story and they'll say, well, I want to do what you did. I want to get off my medications. And I was like, well, I just wanted to feel well, right? I wanted to get well and be well, and getting off the medication, having your physicians take you off of your medications because you no longer need them is the goal, or
Yeah.
or because you want to do it safely. But it is really because the body does adjust, and you never want to just decide for yourself.
For sure.
Yeah.
That's part of the plan. I always tell the patient to work with the doctor who gave them the drugs.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah, because I'm not qualified to take you off psychiatric drugs.
Right.
So they do need to coordinate and then get the exact dosage of how to wean off.
Yeah.
But just knowing that people have to know the truth about the drugs is very important.
Yeah.
Because the people are not educated, then they cannot even discuss with their physicians what to
Sure.
do. Yeah.
Sure.
So this podcast, obviously, the goal is to just educate people,
Yeah.
and then
inspire.
and inspire. Yeah,
Yeah.
this patient is doing so much better. The headache is almost gone. There's no migraines. Like she was taking so many pills for migraines. It's like, wow. So
I'm surprised she could even function, really.
yes, she couldn't. She
Yeah.
was terrible. When she came in, her husband was with her. It's amazing. Now she's like a new person. Very fast. You become yourself. You
Right.
basically become yourself. You're not copying someone else. You are yourself. And that's really what I want for every person, to feel like themselves.
And I love that. I was watching some of your videos and I was like, oh, she gets it. Like especially listeners again, back to that before anybody knows, what's going on. And I know you use the word label, so I think you probably feel the same way I do about, labeling, the diagnosis or the symptom so that we can give the medication and all of the psychology that we go through when we have that label, and then we have to, we start identifying. At least I did identifying with the label.
Oh,
But that idea of not feeling like yourself. So I don't care if your labs are beautiful, if your doctor knows what to do, doesn't know what to, when you don't feel like yourself, something's wrong.
yep.
Something's out of balance. Something's missing, or you're, toxic, or something is. And so to me, that's the biggest gift of, call it functional, integrative, alternative, whatever word somebody wants to use for a better way to practice medicine, is listening to the patient and not just looking for the name of the symptom, like really getting to what is driving that.
100%. I mean, the medical history in detail with the timeline is the key, because things don't happen without reason.
Right.
There is a cause of why you feel like this. You suddenly break out into hives. Okay, well, there is a reason why you're breaking out into hives. So why don't we find out what that is? And then if you find out what that is, then you can treat it, and it will not come back, because now you know what happened and what caused it.
Right.
So it's not only
Which is
that
empowering.
empowering. Exactly. This is what I tell my patients. My job is twofold. So one thing is, what I do is help you get better and feel like yourself. But that's only half of the job. So the half of the job is to get you well and get you to feel like yourself. But the other half is education. So you can stay that way.
Yes. I always say, if I do my job well, then you shouldn't need a health coach for the rest of your life, right? Like,
That's right.
yeah.
Exactly. It's not like psychology. You go to psychologists for the rest of your life. It's like, hello, that just makes you very dependent on someone else, but not giving you the power and empowering you and giving you the tools that you could use yourself.
Yeah. Amazing. And that education really is, it's empowering. Even I was just talking to somebody who had made a diet change, and then, had ate something that was a trigger. But like, because she had she was clean and she's doing all the things and she could really feel it. And she was, typical, like upset with herself. I was like, there's power in that. Like, now for a fact that gluten makes you feel terrible.
Yeah.
And that's way better than, 10 years from now, remembering that Julie told me that gluten was part of my problem. Your body is giving you information. And so that's a win.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
That's exactly. In fact, I encourage patients to go through experiences like that for themselves.
Yes, it's because it's powerful.
Totally.
Yeah.
So they become very sure about themselves, like what it really is the truth for them.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, because we are all different. I may have opinions about certain things that I see 90 something percent of people with autoimmunity, I can fill in some blanks.
Right.
But we are all individual.
Yeah. That's exactly right. Well, I'm really happy, Julie, that you're helping so many people.
Well, thank you. Likewise, it's amazing. I want to touch on, and I know it's not even fair to open this door, so maybe you'll come back and talk to us another time with a deeper dive. But bioidentical hormones, to me, like that was part of the what led you into this, light medicine, if you will. So I want to talk about the differences. I know you like busting myths, and I do too, because I hear so many, and some of them I just even logically don't make sense to me. But Can you just share with us, first of all, what is different? Well, I mean, it's
Oh,
in the name, but how do people know? Because I get all the time, well, I'm on hormones, and people don't know what they're taking or what they're using.
yeah. Well, bioidentical was a new word that was coined a couple of decades ago. It was not non-existent before that. And the word was needed because we couldn't really call it natural
Right,
hormones because these are not available in nature, right?
right.
Because these are available in human bodies. And so the technology was such that we could make those identical hormones in the lab. So
Hmm.
they were not natural, they were man made, but they were bioidentical, which means they were in the exact identical structure as a human hormone. And so that's the difference. So it is like having your own hormone, but just given exogenously. But they are your own hormones. So the body doesn't distinguish or differentiate between those hormones and
Sure.
anything else.
Yeah.
It takes it in like its own.
Hmm.
So there is no adverse effects connected with it. Of course, there could be underdosing effects and there could be overdosing effects.
Sure.
Yeah,
Sure.
but there's no side effects.
Well,
Side effects.
right.
I like to explain the side effects because the word side effects means that the effects are going to be happening on the side
Right.
when you are taking the dosage correctly as prescribed by a physician.
Right.
That means it's not under your control. You cannot do anything about the side effects. Whereas the bioidentical hormones, if taken in the right dosage, have no side effects.
Other than you feel well, is that a side
Yeah,
effect?
the only side effect is good health.
Yeah.
Absolutely. I tell the patients, they ask me, what is the side effect? I say, side effect is good health.
I love that you clarify, because I get this all the time. Um, People think natural is the answer to everything. And so I love that you differentiate. Like, no, they are made in a lab because, I'm a horse lover. I have horses. But I'm not a horse. So the natural horse hormones are not a friend to my body
Yeah,
and have
that's
side
exactly it.
effects.
Totally, totally true. Yeah, that's a good way to explain it. One other thing I'm going to just plug in here is
Uh-huh.
Premarin.
Yes.
Premarin. So the pregnant mare's urine,
Yeah.
that's where the Premarin comes from.
Yeah.
So you were being given pregnant horse's urine.
Right. I mean, I
As
think luckily was never, but as
yeah,
much as I
you
love my horse, I still wouldn't like, and nor would I give her my hormones. Like,
right,
I mean, that it's just crazy. So I
right.
love that you bring that up though, because it's the same, even way off topic, but with like natural ingredients in makeup. Well, lead is natural. It's naturally occur, like be
So true.
really thoughtful about that approach. Um, and because I can't help myself, is it ever too early or too late to support hormones?
Absolutely not. You can start hormones at any age.
Yes.
The oldest I've started is 81 years old.
Ah, I bet that I shouldn't assume it's a woman, but whoever, I bet that human loves you.
Yeah, she absolutely loves me. And now she's 86 years old. So
And
I've
she
been doing
probably
it now.
feels
She
it.
feels like $1 million. She actually is 86, but she works every day, 12 hours a day.
Wow.
Yeah. And
Amazing.
she's got a beautiful organic restaurant. She's a restaurant owner.
Oh my
And
gosh.
she works there every day. I have seen her going up and down the staircase because it's on the hills. The restaurant is on the hills, so there is
Uh-huh.
stairs. So
Yeah.
she goes up and down the stairs, and she's a hostess there. She's awesome. And then she works and she's a psychologist, so that's her second job. So she's doing all of that. And
Wow.
yeah, she's amazing. I think she's a good model for other patients to follow because
It is, it's fascinating to me that I had shared before we started recording about somebody who had just said, well, her doctor told her she was too old to start hormone. First, put her off, and now she's too old to start. And I've heard this so many times though from people, and I don't understand. Like, why would you ever be too old to support your health? Like, it just doesn't. I don't even understand the reasoning. So I love that story. Because my mom was in her 70s when she moved here, and we got her on hormones, and night and day. She's like 20 years younger than she was 9 years ago. It's amazing.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. This happens all the time. And the earliest you can start is the earliest when you are feeling diseased with your body.
Yes. Love that. Yeah.
So earliest I've done in my practice, earliest I've done is 16 years.
Yeah. Well, because supporting cycles.
Yeah.
It's a whole, I know, a whole nother, there's so many different conversations I want to have. Hopefully you'll come back and talk to us a little bit more about, but I want you to share also with listeners that your approach, you have kind of 3 pillars. And I just think it's not that listeners haven't heard this over and over and over in different ways from different people. But I just love the way you put it. Like when you first meet with a patient, or you're thinking about a case, but you already said none of us have a prescription deficiency, right? And I think I'm paraphrasing. You didn't use these words, but it sounds like you don't think that people just show up broken. Right. So like, what is going on? Why so much chronic illness? Why, what are the things that you've got to, I call them rocks. You got to look under these rocks to see, because I know it works across the board. What are your rocks?
Yeah. So the 3 rocks that I'm going to look under, right? It's just more like common sense. And that's another thing I tell them, we do common sense medicine.
Oh, love it.
So we know the basic premise is that the body has an innate ability to heal itself.
Yes.
So if you know that the body has the ability to heal itself and is trying to heal itself continuously,
right,
because it is trying to survive. So the basic thing about life and the body is that it's trying to survive no matter what happens.
Yes.
It's always trying to survive. So now, if you have a chronic disease or you have whatever disease, then one other factor. The other factor is that there is something blocking the body to overcome that barrier. There is some barrier there. So there is 3 types of barrier, 3 rocks that we could look under. One is that you may have something that you have in the body that you should not have. Mm-hmm. For example, toxicity, environmental toxicity that gets in your own body. There is outside, it could be mercury, could be any heavy metals, could be mold in the environment that's now inside, or, tick-borne diseases, whatever infections, parasites, things like that should not be in the body, but it is there. So you have chronic viral infections, we test for all of those. Now I'm testing for COVID spike antibodies because I want to find out, do you have long haul? What do you have, right? And so those are the things that should not be in the body, but is there. Then the other one is that something that should be there, but it's not there. For example, this is where the whole picture of bioidentical hormones comes in. So you should have the hormones in certain optimal ranges, but you don't. So we want to now make them optimal for you.
Yes.
And how much is optimal is very personalized. So everybody is different. I've had a patient that felt like $1 million at 400. I'm talking about testosterone.
Okay.
And then there's people that don't feel well until they're 1100.
Right.
So it's all different. You can't really compare one person to the next. You have to individually treat each person.
So you're treating the person, not the lab paper.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah. That's exactly right. Like somebody asked me, hey, how much testosterone should I have? I'm like, I have no idea.
How do you feel?
Yeah, exactly. We want to correlate the levels with what you're doing and how you're feeling and doing. So that's the other pillar, right? So the things that you should have, but you don't have in optimal quantities. Then the third pillar is that you should have things, but they're just not in correct balance.
Yes.
So that includes a lot of things. Don't think I've figured it all out. I haven't.
Oh, come on.
I haven't figured out everything in every detail, even though every day I want a patient that's more complicated than the previous one.
Yeah.
Because it stimulates my thinking. I got to figure out what else is happening so then I can help more people. But the imbalances, I'll give an example. Example would be, let's say, minerals. In the minerals, you have calcium and magnesium. So they both are needed in the body, but you can have one in too much excess
Sure.
or too little. Same thing with zinc and copper.
Yes.
I have actually treated a patient who was on two psych drugs, and he was severely depressed in spite of the drugs and couldn't sleep. And I remember just giving, and he said, I don't want any hormones. And I'm like, okay, great, no problem. Let's figure out what is imbalanced. And then we fixed his imbalance, and it was a zinc and copper imbalance. So, and then I think a couple of months later, he says, I'm fine. I'm actually fine. I have no depression. I'm like, wow.
Isn't that amazing? Yeah.
So
Because we need minerals. We have minerals, but the balance is, and we don't realize that so much of what we do in modern times can deplete one or the other, or, it doesn't necessarily mean somebody was supplementing improperly. They just got out of balance.
Yeah, I mean, we have things like copper pipes now.
Yeah.
We have copper pipes, or we have copper pans, cookware. I mean, there's many places. So you kind of have to see if things are in right ratios. Even on the hormones, sometimes they're not in the right ratios. So you have to kind of get those in the correct ratio. So then you can feel, this is why we are going for how do you feel? Do you feel like yourself again?
Yeah.
You cannot feel like yourself. For example, you have a headache, and you take an aspirin or something. The headache lessens, but you don't feel like yourself.
Right. Yeah.
You're still kind of annoyed.
Still there. Yeah.
Still there, but you don't feel like yourself. When the headache is gone 100% and everything is in balance, you will not even think about the headache.
Right. Right.
And you will be just by yourself. I mean, you will be yourself, and then you will do whatever that makes you happy.
Yeah.
So that's a philosophy. Those are the three rocks that I would go under.
I love it. It's so amazing. And I just appreciate your approach. That wouldn't the world be a better place if we all felt like ourselves,
Exactly.
like our best self.
Exactly. I mean, the wars would go away, and the conflicts. Yeah.
That would be amazing.
Yeah. If you're depressed and anxiety, how well can you get along with others,
Right. Yeah. Oh, such amazing, just brilliance. And so glad that you shared some of your wisdom with us. Listeners are leaning in because they know I'm getting close to wrapping up. So I'm going to ask you for one step that they can take starting today to improve their health. And it could be anything.
Well, I think the nutrition is a foundation. Like, you have to eat right. If you are eating in the fast food restaurants, I would say stop that. That would be the fastest and the easiest turnaround in your health.
True. Huge impact, right?
A huge impact. I mean, there's been movies made out of it. I mean, there is so much information out there on how the fast food affects your cholesterol, your bad cholesterol, your blood sugars. I mean, it just creates a metabolic chaos in the body.
So such great gold. Yeah, just drive right past that drive-through line. Don't do it. The funny thing is, you do get to a point, people are always shocked to, like, I wasn't born eating the way I eat now, well, I might have been born to eat that way, but I grew up with junk food and fast food and all the same stuff, and you really do, when you eat only real, mostly whole foods, or really minimally processed, your taste buds change, and when you're not being fed those chemicals that are addictive, and you don't want it. Like I would rather not eat than eat fast food. Like it's not food. So I love that you brought that up. That's a really just like getting your hormones balanced will really have a big impact. Yeah, avoiding the fast food will too. So
yeah, exactly. And it is in your hands. You don't have to
yeah,
you don't have to go see a physician. It's just
right.
go past the fast
It's
food
free.
restaurant. It's free. It doesn't cost you money.
I love it. Thank you so much for your time, your wisdom, your obvious passion for helping people feel like themselves and be well. Really,
Yes.
really appreciate it.
Well, you're very welcome. It was a pleasure talking to you, Julie, as well.
And for people that aren't going to check the show notes, where is the best place for people to find you?
Oh, just go to my website. It's called angellongevity.com.
Love it. Visit. The website's really rich too. So angellongevity.com. Have a beautiful rest of your week.
And you too. Thank you.
For everyone listening, remember you can get the transcripts and show notes by visiting inspiredliving.show. I hope you had a great time and enjoyed this episode as much as I did. I'll see you next week.
Thanks for tuning in to Inspired Living with Autoimmunity, hosted by Julie Houghton, your autoimmune coach. If this episode resonated with you, share it with someone in your life who needs to hear it. For the complete show notes, links, transcripts, and everything discussed today, visit inspiredliving.show. You can also send in your questions there to be answered by Julie in a future episode. That's inspiredliving.show. Remember, it's time to take your power back.